If you can, scoot into the middle and kind of eliminate empty chairs. We have a few people to squeeze in yet. There's room along the stairs, working your way up. You can just sit on the steps. We don't have any fire marshals in here, I don't think. So just you can use those exits. Just so you can see the screen. Otherwise, welcome to our WIA parent meeting. I am Brad Bendix. I'm WIA's activities director. And this is the unofficial start of the 25-26 school year. So here we are. Just want to go through a few things tonight to get you ready for this upcoming school year. Some of the paperwork, especially that can be kind of a stress, especially for those parents in their first years of having a high schooler. So we'll go through a lot of that, but we're going to get started focusing on God and His Word with Pastor Haig. He is going to lead us through a very short devotion.
I'm going to begin my devotion this evening by showing you a little beginning of a video. Don't start till I tell you to, Mr. Bendix. Who knows who that is? Yeah, Scotty Scheffler, who's the #1 golfer in the world. And maybe some of you saw this interview that Scotty Scheffler gave a couple of weeks ago. Scotty Scheffler, I think, is universally admired for his abilities as a professional golfer. This interview was done the week before the British Open, and then he proceeded to win the British Open later that week. He has won 4 majors. If he would continue on the pace that he's on, he'd be as good as Tiger Woods, but of course that's in the future. According to the internet, he has already earned $100 million in earnings from golf and hundreds of millions of more dollars from endorsements related to his abilities as a professional athlete. I think all of us would love that life, of course. That's what made this interview, I thought, so fascinating. So we're going to watch the first minute and a half of it. Thanks, Mr. Bendix.
This is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of like the deepest, places of your heart. There's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there and all of a sudden you get to #1 in the world, and then they're like, what's the point? And, I really do believe that because, what is the point? You're like, why do I want to win this tournament so bad? That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. It's like showing up at the Masters every year. It's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know. Because if I win, it's going to be awesome for about 2 minutes. And then we're going to get to the next week, and it's going to be like, hey, you won 2 majors this year. How important is it for you to win the FedEx Cup playoffs? And it's just like, we're back here again, So we really do. We work so hard for such little moments, and I'm kind of a sicko. I love putting in the work. I love being able to practice. I love getting out to live out my dreams. But at the end of the day, sometimes I just don't understand the point, because I don't know if I'm making any sense or not, but am I not? It's just one of those deals, I love the challenge. I love being able to play this game for a living. It's one of the greatest joys of my life, but does it fill the deepest, wants and desires of my heart? Absolutely not. That's why I talk about families being my priority, because it really is. I'm blessed to be able to come out here.
So the last question was, here's a man who's won hundreds of millions of dollars playing a game. Universally acknowledged as the top of his sport. And does this fill the inner desires and wants of his heart? And he said, absolutely not. The verse for our devotion this evening is the first commandment. You shall have no other gods. And Luther explained that in the Catechism as you should fear, love, and trust in God above all things. And another way of putting that is God should be #1 in our life. And obviously tonight, as we're at the athletic meeting, the point is, do we sometimes let other things become more important than God? I think we all have to admit honestly that happens a lot, and sometimes that's sports. And the point of my devotion tonight is, let's make the commitment this year to fight the fight. It's hard to keep God's will in all areas of our Christian life. And it's the hardest commandment to keep is the first commandment, that we don't let other things become more important than God. If you're a student, and you're an athlete and you're on my team, I yell at you and I want you to be committed and I want you to be invested and I want you to play hard. And a lot of our players are already, they don't have to be yelled at to do that. They're already committed and invested. And you can do that. And sports is a great blessing, and there's all kinds of lessons to learn from it, but we can't let, as a player, let it become more important to you than God, because your sport didn't die on the cross for you. Your sport doesn't take you to heaven. God is more important than your sport. One of the great blessings of having taught here at WLA for so many years is getting to know all the Christian families, all the Christian parents that I've gotten to know. You have been a great blessing in my life, and it's a beautiful thing. But we all know that sometimes parents can get a little overly invested in their teenager's life, and sometimes in their life as an athlete as well, and get upset if that child doesn't make the team, or if they're not getting to start, or if they're not getting to play as much as you want them to play. And that's maybe your battle this year, and all the time, is to God is number one. And don't let the happiness that your child gets and your investment in your child's life become more important than God. And for those of us here that are coaches, like me, and I know a lot of you parents coach as well, we can't let that drive to succeed and to win become more important than God. If the best golfer in the world, who has made hundreds of millions of dollars, who may make $1 billion from his sport before all is said and done, if he knows that there's something greater, something more important, and that is God, then of course, obviously, we should know it as well. Let's make a commitment this year to show that as we participate in and support WLA Athletics this year. Amen.
All right, as mentioned, it can be a little nerve-wracking getting your child ready for that all-important high school sports career. And so just a couple things I want you to be aware of. You'll be in good shape if you just kind of remember these two things, and the rest will flow out of that. Be in contact with your coach. Maybe your child isn't going out for anything until the spring. That's okay. I'll just flash up the spring coaches here later. Maybe just take a picture of who that coach is and reach out during the year, or have your child reach out. The biggest thing for that is coaches want to, and during the school year, there'll be announcements in chapel, and this is where it gets difficult for parents, because we're used to grade schools and letters coming home, and basketball is going to start on this day and all that. And we do here expect the children to be able to advocate for themselves, take home important information. And so we'll announce in chapel, hey, anyone interested in playing girls basketball? Or anyone interested in, later on this winter it'll be, baseball. We're going to have a meeting after chapel, or a meeting at the end of the day. And that information will come out, throughout a week or two of chapel announcements and so on. And there'll be more information coming. But just as a parent, if you want to know, who your child's coach is or is going to be, and then just always be thinking maybe your kid has no plans to play sports at all, or they're on the fence. Still, the next one is the big one. Just fill out the paperwork. Get the paperwork done, so that if your child does decide to get involved, and I really hope they do, here at the academy, then we have the biggest hurdle out of the way, that paperwork. And so we'll spend a little bit of time talking about that in a moment. But those coaches, just so you kind of see a rundown of who we have coming up this year. First of all, if you ever have questions, my email is there. But then this fall, returning coaches, we have Miss Hackbarth leading the varsity volleyball program here for the first time. So looking forward to that, but a lot of returning coaches there. New this year, we are giving girls tennis a try. We've had some interest, and so we're going to start at the JV level. We know we have sounds like a few girls that are ready to give that a try. So it's going to be a lot of practices. We'll eventually, fill out some games and things like that. But we're gonna start slow and kind of dip our toes into that. And so that's going to be led by Jason Zellner as our contact. And then there's a few people from the community. I don't know how big our tennis circle is here in the WLA Academy family, because we've never had it before. And so we're working on getting names and interest in that. But we've got a few people to help us guide us along in that process. So they'll be meeting, more information on that tonight. When we get to the winter, again, a lot of names. Coach Jacobs taking over the head spot in the wrestling program, so that one is different there. But he's been assisting with Coach Rucker for a few years. And then spring, we have our returning coaches there as well. So, like, as I said, take a picture. Oh, this video as well is going to be sent out via email to all of you. You'll get a blast. However, the office does that. And so if there's something you missed or you want to look up contact information, you can always do that at a later time. But it'll be sent out for all those people who weren't able to make it. The paperwork, the big one tonight. Required paperwork. We basically need, and they're up here. We've handed them all out so far. They're copying more in the office. I'll get more by the end. But it's 4 things we need from you. The big one is the doctor, the physical. And so that's usually a freshman and a junior who need their physical. However, if you had your child get a physical in 8th grade, then they're on an 8th grade, 10th grade senior year schedule. But in those off years, and that needs to be signed by a doctor, so you need to get those appointments made. If you've all of a sudden showed up and like, whoa, we never booked a physical with the doctor, and my kid's going to play a fall sport, there are just like real quick set up appointment clinics, and I can't remember where they are now. It used to be Walgreens in Oshkosh, but I believe there's another one as well. And so I'll talk to, we'll get that information for you, but you can get a physical real quick if needed. Otherwise, schedule it with your doctor. That's the best case scenario. If they had it as a freshman and then they're a sophomore, we just need the alternate year form filled out, and that parents can do. We don't need a doctor's signature for that. So that's the big one, the medical one. And then the rest of these, we need parent signature and athlete signature. You'd be shocked how many come back with just the parents had signed them and not the kids, or vice versa. So we need double signatures on these last 3. The assumption of risk and waiver form, the WI eligibility form, and the concussion form. So it's 4 different items that we need from you. Now there's extra pages in there that give you information, stuff for your reading, but it's really 4 items that we need back from you. And that's in these packets that there'll be more of in just a little bit. With our high level or competitive athletics comes injuries and managing injuries. And so we have a new trainer this year. You've maybe seen her at Lomira games in the past, but Amy Bohl is going to be taking care of our athletes this year. And so she's going to come and tell you what services through SSM they offer us.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy. I've been with Ignesian and SSM Health for the last 16 years, covering schools in the Flyway Conference. So tonight we just want to go over some of the basic information that is good to know for everybody. My school schedule will be 2 to 3 days a week for after-school visits. Every month I put a calendar by the athletic training room door, so if your son or daughter is looking to find me, to see me for something, they know what days to expect me. That calendar will also be emailed out to the coaching staff who are in season in the high school office. For game coverage, I'll be at JV2 and varsity football, varsity soccer games, varsity basketball, high school wrestling, and then the track and cross country meets that we host as home invites. I'm here to evaluate any injuries, provide treatment, help with rehab exercises when needed, wound care, taping, bracing, and concussion testing. We use SWAY, and we've been doing that for a couple of years now, so that's probably familiar to those who are returning. And then if an athlete does have a concussion, completing the return to play process so they return to sports safely. If you have a son or daughter who is in high school, you may be familiar with the Healthy Roster app. It's what the athletic trainers at SSM use for injury documentation. So if your son or daughter is hurt in an away game that's covered by one of my coworkers, they can also use Healthy Roster to enter the injury and start the notification process. So if you have an incoming freshman this year, you'll receive an invite to sign up for Healthy Roster. Like I said, it's a free app, and it just allows you access to either communicate with me via messaging if I need to know something, or you want to let me know about an injury. If I see your child at school, I'll enter an injury notification, and then that gets pushed out as a notification that you as a parent will get if you're signed up, and the coach also gets. So it's really nice because it helps everybody see the same information and keeps everybody informed with just one system. So if you signed up, or you will be signing up, on the right there is what the app would look like on your phone with your child's name, and then it allows you to message me through that. If you have multiple children in sports here, as long as your email address matches for each of the children, it automatically links them all. So you don't need like a separate password for each kid you have within the school. As I said, we'll be using SWAY for concussion baseline testing. SWAY testing is done using a smartphone and includes a balance assessment. Basically, we get on a schedule now where freshmen and juniors will test for a baseline. We don't use SWAY unless we suspect they have a concussion and need to return to their baseline test results before returning to play. Let's see. For testing, we ask that the child comes to SWAY testing with the SWAY medical app already on their phone. I know sometimes as a parent you have blocks on their phone so they can't download an app, so if you can just take care of that before they get here, that's always really helpful. A charged phone also works really well. And then if your child takes a SWAY test for injury purposes and you're signed up for Healthy Roster, you'll also see the SWAY test results post-injury within a Healthy Roster notification. I'll be reaching out to the coaches for fall to set up testing dates and times, and we'll usually just incorporate that into a practice. It takes about 30 minutes. Football I already have set up, so just a heads up to everybody. Juniors and a few seniors will be testing on Wednesday at 3:30. Freshmen will follow at 4 o'clock, and then just come ready to test with the SWAY app downloaded and bring your charged phone. And then just to talk a little bit about the concussion process in case your child does have an injury. With the school, we have a concussion protocol in place, so I would notify the school office that the athlete has an injury, and then they would email out to the teachers with just some general basic classroom accommodations to help get the healing process started right away. So that could include no PE, no band or choir, decreased screen time, no athletic participation, and then I can alter those restrictions as needed. A lot of the concussions we're managing as athletic trainers at the school and completing the return to play process. If for some reason the child is not getting better quickly or seeing improvement in symptoms, it might be something that we talk about seeing a concussion provider for, just to help with the process so they're not missing out on school or getting behind. The return to play process is 6 steps long. Each one is completed within 1 day. Sometimes there's a situation where if they cannot pass their base or meet their baseline numbers for SWAY, they may be on step 3 for a while, but it's just the process that we work through, with step 6 being clear to return to game play. And then just so everybody does know, the WIA has concussion insurance. It's called Headstrong Concussion Insurance. It's offered free of charge and there's no need to sign up. But if I see your athlete for a concussion and it's insurance you want to use, you can let me know because there's paperwork to fill out. But what it offers is your secondary insurance. So they will pay whatever your primary personal insurance does not pay for care. So some people in the past I know have taken advantage of it and it's helpful. Other times people are like, no, I have really good health care insurance. I'm not worried about just paying for whatever. So just so you know, it's available. If you have questions, let me know. If you want the paperwork, let me know. I'm happy to help out and answer any of those questions or fill out the paperwork and help you with that process. So when we're all done here tonight, I'll stick around for a couple minutes if anybody has specific questions for me. Otherwise, I'll head out, and looking forward to the school year.
Thank you, Amy. We're very appreciative of the care that SSM takes of our athletes, far different than some of us when we played, and and what return to play looked like back then. The other way, I'm just kind of the point guard tonight. I hand it off to the important people. The next thing is becoming a booster, which all of you are. And to talk about that is Nikki Keifenheim.
Thank you. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I apologize to those of you that already know how the Booster Club requirements work, but I know we have a lot of new freshman families here. So I'm just going to highlight a couple things. Everyone is already part of the Booster Club, and basically our Booster Club concessions are the outdoor concession stand and the indoor concession stand. The Booster Club money that we raise throughout the school year, Brad put it on a slide here. It kind of highlights it's not just money for athletics. So I think sometimes there's a misconception that if my child isn't in a sport or in athletics, I don't qualify for working the Booster Club requirements, but it's for any activity at WLA, and I'll touch a little bit on the next slide what the requirement is, but the money goes for all different things at WLA. In the other slide, it's bought a small van to take small groups of kids to different activities, things like that. The next slide here, okay, the requirements. If your child is in any activity at WLA, a club, a basketball team, your first child, oh, that's okay, Mr. Pino. Nobody noticed. If your first student is in any activity, we ask that you sign up for 3 shifts, and all the shifts are about 2 hours each. If you have 2 students at WLA that are in activities, we just ask you to do 4 total. So I hope that's pretty clear. 1 student in an activity, 3 shifts. If you have more than 1 student here, it's 4. If you want to work more than that, we will gladly have you. Let's see, what else did I have on here? Oh, if you do not have the WLA app, I highly, highly encourage you to download it on your phone. Yeah, okay, there you go. There's so much information that comes out on the app, but on the app there's a tab that says Booster Club. That's the easiest way to sign up, and you could actually go on there right now. We have all the activities and the slots for the whole entire school year. So if you want to go in tonight and sign up for your 3 shifts, you can do that. If something comes up and you need to change it, you can just log back in, delete your volunteer shift, and sign up for another one. But that's the easiest way to do it. And on another note with that, on the app, if you go way to the bottom, there's something with groups. So if your child is in basketball, you would sign up for the basketball group. But I encourage you to also sign up for the Booster Club group. Sometimes we need people last minute, or there's a game cancellation, things like that. We try to send out little notices on the Booster Club app for things like that. Let's see. Okay, I think that covers most of it. I'm trying to think of questions that people have had.
While you're talking about apps.
Yes.
Also, if you have a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, you need to advance your child to the next year so that you get the class notifications for the following year. So if you had a freshman last year and you signed up, I think you need to go back in and advance them to being a sophomore so you get the items that are related to being a 10th grader. I don't think it always automatically does that, so please check that. And then while you're there, again, sign up for the groups that you'll be looking for this year and make sure one of them is Booster Club.
So when we talk about Booster Club, it's basically working in our concession stands. It benefits everybody. That's kind of the gist of it. The last thing that I'm going to do, I'm like a very small part of a committee of people that helps organize and run this throughout the school year, and we're doing things in the summer. So there's 2 things I want to do yet. I want to ask all of our people, shift leaders, and Booster Club, if you could stand up if you're here, please. I know you probably don't want to, but please stand up. So there, right now, okay, thank you. Right now, we probably have, there's 8 of us maybe, 7 or 8. Some people have had kids graduate, so we've lost some people, but this group is kind of another group called Shift Leaders. So when you go into Sign Up Genius, You're going to see slots with times, and then you're also going to see slots that say shift leader. So if you're someone that doesn't mind a little bit more of a leadership role in things, a shift leader is someone that we kind of train, and it's not rocket science, how to open the concession stand for different events, and you would come a little earlier, set up the food, turn things on, unlock cabinets, things like that. That would be something that a shift leader does. And for the shift leaders, we kind of ask you to come and sign up for maybe 6 to 7 spots throughout the school year as a shift leader. So if you don't mind doing something like that, you have a little flexibility with your schedule. We're always looking for more people to help out with this group, and yeah, I don't know. I think that's all of it. I guess before I'm done, are there any questions that anyone has about signing up, or what did I forget? Oh, okay. So, on a positive note, we're trying to save you a $200 activities fee. So if you sign up and you do your 3 shifts or 4 shifts, that's in lieu of paying a $200 activities fee. We try to encourage you to sign up for your spots by January 1st. If you don't work your spots, or maybe you only work 1, or maybe you only work 2, okay, then you will be charged a $200 activities fee on your account at the end of the school year. So, it's super easy. And you'll have $200 more in your pocket. Yeah.
The other thing is, like, if your spouse works with you, that counts.
Yep. Yes. Thank you, Melissa. So tons of people do this. They go in, you both work, you and your spouse sign up for the same spot, that's 2 shifts already done. You both worked 4 to 6 in the concession stand, that's 2 spots already done, you only have 1 more to do. So it's not that difficult. And it's really nice to meet other parents, especially new freshmen. This is a good way to meet parents, meet your child's friends' parents, get to know other families. Any other questions? Yes. What'd I forget? Which I think is worth $90, right?
Yes.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So what Mrs. Mathias was saying is if you sign up to be a shift leader, which is a little bit more commitment, you get a free $90 athletic pass for all of the home games and a WLA t-shirt, a mug, things like that. So we try to sweeten the deal up a little bit. Thank you. Okay, thanks, I'm done. Have a good night.
A round of applause for all of our Booster Club shift leaders and members. They really do a great job. We went to this format 3 years ago, or this is our 3rd year, and slowly we've kind of eased into it and hadn't always been quite so strict. Now that it's a 3rd year doing it, we think that everyone kind of knows what this is all about. And if your kid's been playing rec league or East Shore base, I mean, you're used to this, right? You work concession stand shifts or you pay a buyout. So this is nothing revolutionary, but it's really helped our programs. It's helped WLA, and they just do a masterful job in running it and keeping it organized. So really, really great set of people. And if you'd like to join that crew, we do accept men as well. So you can sign up and help be a part of that great club. Your child is we want your child to play sports all year long. And so to talk about how to be able to do that, we have Vice Principal Baduzzi.
Thanks, Mr. Bendix. Like Mr. Bendix just said, if you don't know who I am Vice Principal Baduzzi, and in my role I get to talk about all of the things that you don't want to hear about, unfortunately, and hopefully this is the only time you ever have to hear about them, and I can inform you of them, and then we can never talk about it again. But I'm here to tell you about them initially. So if you look up on the screen, I'll kind of just follow that. We do have some academic eligibility rules. In order to be eligible to participate in our extracurriculars here at WLA, you need to be academically eligible. What that means is that every quarter we check all of our students' grades for any combination of 3 Ds or an F. And if a student at the end of a quarter has any combination of 3 Ds or an F, they are notified, and you are notified on that Monday following the end of the quarter. and they have until Wednesday to improve their grades. Otherwise, at that point, they become ineligible, which essentially means they cannot participate in competition. They can still practice when they're ineligible, but they cannot compete until their grades improve. Once their grades improve to higher than any combination of 3 Ds or an F, then they can go back to participation in competition. Attendance is also related to a student's eligibility to participate. Obviously students are absent sometimes. Sometimes they're sick, sometimes they have appointments, things like that. However, our rule here at WLA is that in order to participate in a practice or any competition, student athletes that are absent for part of a school day must attend chapel, arrive at school in time to attend chapel. They must have a valid excuse for their absence, and they must attend class for the rest of the day. There are some extenuating circumstances that come up, and I understand that. So if that's the case, please reach out to me, communicate that with me, and we'll handle that on an individual basis. And some concessions may be given to those who have extenuating circumstances. I'll work that out with you and the coach or advisor of the activity. Can you bump me to the next one, please? Training rules. This is the really fun one. Training rules are another thing for you to kind of keep in mind and just be aware of. Our state association expects that each school has training rules and also disciplinary processes in place in the event that a student athlete would violate our training rules. And essentially what our training rules are, they prohibit a student athlete using or possessing alcohol, drugs, tobacco, nicotine products, performance-enhancing substances, so on and so forth. If a student were to violate our training rules, there's some consequences that you can read more about in our parent and student athletic handbook. I'll just highlight the first violation. There are some fairly significant consequences, so keep that in mind, as the temptations arise in high school to participate in those things. If you are a student athlete, the stakes are pretty high. So for example, if a student were to violate our training rules in season, the first time they'd be suspended from competition for the rest of the season in which they're participating, with at least 50% of the competitions being forfeited. Now, if 50%, if you're already further than halfway through the season, then the rest of that is calculated and applied to the next activity that an athlete participates in. So a fairly significant consequence there. An out-of-season violation forfeits half of the next season in which an athlete would participate. These training rules are in effect year-round, so during the school year and during the summer, keep that in mind. But important to remember those things. Some other things that come from training rules violations, other consequences are that any athlete that misses contests due to training rules violations is not permitted to be nominated to be a team captain, may not be nominated for all conference recognition, and will not be nominated to be a part of the WLA Hall of Fame. So some longer lasting consequences that go along with that as well. So again, like I said, I hope we never have to have a conversation about any of these things, but just so you're aware and for you to keep in mind as your student participates in athletics, and for you students as you participate, keep these things in mind so that we can continue to represent WLA and most importantly our Savior, doing all things to His glory in school and on the fields.
Thank you, Mr. Baduzzi. Just a couple last things, then we'll get out of this portion of our meeting. Again, sports are played with emotion. That's just the way it's set up to be. You coach hard, play hard. So there's emotion, and there's going to be at times where a parent or a student athlete don't see eye to eye with the coach. I mean, it just never fails. It happens every year. And so the process that we go about handling those situations is uniform, should be handled the same way every year. And so I just want to go through that again with you. First of all, I talked about our kids. They're growing up. They need to be able to communicate with their coach. They can come home and talk to you and vent to you, but your advice to them is talk to your coach. Talk to your coach about it. And there's not a coach that I have listed here that won't have a good conversation with your child. So encourage them to do that. If for some reason there's still clarification that's needed, then you and your child can speak with that coach. I come in much later. If for some reason there's still a misunderstanding, then I will sit down with the coach, with you, with your child. A lot of times, we get my child really doesn't want to be a part of it, and we're going to be really firm on, we're going through this process, student to the coach, parent, student to the coach, parent, student, coach, and myself. We'll just keep adding layers, and if I can't help you, then you can go to Principal Schrader. That's never had to have happened yet, but hey, there's always a first, right? So, but that's the way we want to walk through this process. Hopefully it's not much of an issue this year, but we have a process in place if something does come up. To attend all these wonderful games, our prices are the same as last year. Our conference has talked about raising prices, doing different things, but we are keeping everything the same, $5 and $4, but you can get your passes there. The free people are the 6 and under. Our WA students are free. Just bring your ID. Not every worker knows who you are. And then senior citizens, grandparents, free as well. And then we do have passes for our association called workers and 8th graders. Pastor Yankee has those, so you get those from him. If you want to purchase a pass tonight, there are some available in the office, so you could go in there tonight when you're done and purchase your family pass. You should get 2 cards when you purchase it, because you might come and then your husband might come later or whatever it is, and so we'll give you 2 cards for the price of $90. Big thing, please sign up with our school, and now they're changing the name. That got bought out, so I need to double check if the websites are the same. But the point is, you want to sign up with our scheduling software to get notifications when games change. And so if that's not correct, we'll send out a blast with the most up-to-date information, because we went from our school to just recently now starting this year activity scheduler. They're working together, so I'm not sure if any of that our school today needs to be changed. But you should be able to find from our homepage how to get our up-to-date athletic calendars. After this, football parents and players, you're going to stay here. If you're in soccer, you're going to go down the hall and to our lunchroom. Cross country, down the hall to the foods room. Coaches will meet you in there. Volleyball, down the hall, take a right to our study hall. And those interested in girls tennis, again, down the hall and to the right near our media center. We have a meeting room there where you can get more information. As you've sweat in here tonight, our building's been through a lot, so I guess just one thing I'd ask all of you is pray for us this year. Pray for this building as we look to be here not too much longer. Some of us are in 2, 3, 4 meetings a week planning the next building, and I can tell you things are coming along really, really well. It's really exciting for that. To have a new building with air conditioning throughout it and working because it's not old. This has been through the ringer this year. All our water mains have been replaced because we know what that was like last winter. So we just have the paving and concrete work to do. We've had electrical stuff. We've had door entry issues, air conditioning. So there's been a lot going on here. So pray for this building. Pray for the plans on the next one. Pray for all your students, your families, the WLA family as a whole, because we're looking forward to a really, really great 25-26 school year. So thank you all for coming, and you can take off to the rooms that I had mentioned there. Any questions for me? I'll be up here, and we'll get more forms in the office.